part of the problem for them is that they have to come back. You know, they don't have much time because we have an early session next year. They start the official session.
A lot more pressure as a
starts
result.
in January, so committees will be meeting in September, October. So they go home again in July. You know, they've got to be back here in a couple of months together.
In a strange way, though, Dara, could the fact that the session, the 2016 session, is really beginning that early, and committee meetings in the fall really are important, could that, in essence, take some of the pressure off so people could say, you know, we're really only talking about a matter of weeks before we're going to be into the 2016 session, so let's deal with this budget now, let's get this settled, and go into some of these other issues in the fall.
I think it is a little bit of a relief valve. I talked about how it is for the compact, you know, so they're not so worried about getting this thing inked again by the time it expires on October, because they know they'll be back and they can do something in the fall. I think that, you know, in terms of budget issues, there is always a desire to have your thing in the budget now because it's easier to get it again once you've got a placeholder in there, and you can even get it added to. But I think there is a certain amount of relief, as you say, that they are coming back. It does take some of the pressure off, and I think it will help them to focus more exclusively on the budget than try to get, you know, derail it by getting into really big policy things.
There's some possible complications of that too, though, because the way the LIP payments are done, the hospitals, some would argue, don't have to have that renewed until September or so. And so you hear this buzz sometimes around the issues, well, they can come back and deal with that later, maybe during one of their committee weeks. Well, that kind of talk makes the hospitals very, very nervous. So it should be able to serve as a relief valve for issues like gambling, but it could also complicate the issues on something like the LIP funding in healthcare.
But you have to wonder how they go home, you know, with all of the moaning and groaning or the finger pointing that they do with how Washington is broken, and we are not Washington, and we don't function like that, and they can't get it's a do-nothing Congress, and they can't get anything done. And so how do these Republicans in the majority in both chambers, how do they go home and haven't come to an agreement on a budget? And how do they justify the level of discord and dysfunction that they experienced during their own session? I mean, you wonder, how is that going to play out in the elections in 2016, and what are their constituents going to say about it over the summer?